In part 2, we're going to talk about the different science options that you can do for high school with Gather Round. If you missed part 1 of the series, then you may want to go back and watch that, as I do talk more about how to assign the credit hours. And we focused in part 1 about the different types of history courses, geography, government. I'll put a link to part 1 in the description below. So let's dive into all the science options.
For physical science, you can choose any of these 3 units: rocks and minerals, space, energy, and chemistry. To earn credit in geology, you may do all 3 of these: earth science, rocks and minerals, and national parks. Many people ask about how to make a biology credit. At a bare minimum, I would recommend botany, human body, and choosing at least one other unit on animals. Gather Round has many different animal units, from birds, oceans, creepy crawlies, forest animals, and reptiles. Based on other biology curriculum, they do recommend obviously the study of plants, the human body, flying creatures, swimming creatures, and land animals. So that is why I say you would want to choose at least one other unit being on animals. And if you can do more than that, that would be great. We personally did all of them just because we want to do all of the Gather Round units, but that would be what you would do for a bare minimum. For a chemistry credit, you would want to do the chemistry unit along with the chemistry experiment book, which has 20 different lessons and experiments in it. There are also some experiments that are suggested in the actual full unit as well. That will give you your lab. And you can also add on psychology and or rocks and minerals. For a physics credit, you would want to do energy plus transportation and or inventions and ideas. For zoology, you can choose at least 3 of the animal units below: creepy crawlies, dinosaurs, birds, forest animals, oceans, or reptiles. And I also mentioned in part 1 of this series that if you do the continent unit studies, you can also earn a credit in zoology, as they study animals every day. Now these 2 units are very unique, and some people do not know how to list them on a transcript. I've already mentioned that you could use these 2 in addition with energy to make a physics credit, because there is physics in both. But if you just wanted to use these units individually or together, you could list it as inventors and inventions or history of science, and you could give either a half credit to a full credit depending on how many units you do. As I've mentioned before, single units are worth a quarter credit unless you add in books, videos, documentaries, experiments, rabbit trails, extension activities, or extra research. So these are different titles that you could give to these individual units. If you're doing just botany by itself, you could call it Intro to Botany or Botany 101. Same thing applies with creepy crawlies: Intro to Entomology or Entomology 101. With dinosaurs, you could call it Intro to Paleontology or Paleontology 101. Earth science is sufficient for earth science, and for the human body, you could call it Intro to Human Anatomy or Human Anatomy 101. For forest animals, you could call that Intro to Wildlife Biology. Next, we have Intro to Psychology or Psychology 101. With reptiles, you can call that Intro to Herpetology or Herpetology 101. With rocks and minerals, you can call that Intro to Geology or Geology 101. Space can be called Intro to Astronomy, and I do want to add that they are going to be releasing another unit on space called Astronomy very soon, and it may actually be released by the time I put out this video. So keep an eye out for that. That second space unit will talk more about the daily life of an astronaut and go into much deeper detail about astronomy. If you do this single unit on oceans, you can call it Intro to Marine Biology, and if you do one of the units here on birds, you can call it Ornithology. And Gather Around just released a new unit called Ocean Life. So if you were to combine Ocean Life with the Oceans unit, you could easily get a full credit in marine biology, or you could call it oceanography. And again, with the birds unit, if you were to do both the birds units, then you could again earn up to a full credit in ornithology. Stay tuned for part 3 of how to create a high school transcript using Gather Round units. Part 3 will talk about elective options. So stay tuned to Homeschool Matters, and if this was helpful, again, please give a thumbs up and subscribe.